দেখো এবারে যাবে। জয়েনিং এর এটা দেখাচ্ছে। এখানে একবার এসো। আমি আনমিউট করবো, টেস্টকে হ্যালো বলবো, শোনা যাচ্ছে না। না না, তুমি শোনো না। Hello, I am audible.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let us wait for the speaker to join and our guests.
Yes, sir.
Actually, we have to keep some places vacant for the respected delegates and guests. We can maximum accommodate maximum 100 candidates in Google Meet. Uh, so, rest of all, please watch YouTube live. The YouTube live streaming has already started in our YouTube channel.
সুদীপ্ত দা,
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ এসো ওকে পৌলমি
সুদীপ্ত দা,
স্পিকার জয়েন
সুদীপ্ত দা,
দা আনমিউট করতে পারছি না হ্যাঁ ইয়েস আওয়ার স্পিকার হ্যাজ জয়েন্ট গুড মর্নিং ইন্দ্রাণী ইটস মর্নিং ইন ইউএসএ রাইট
সুদীপ্ত দা,
হ্যাঁ ইয়েস
শোনা যাচ্ছে?
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ ইয়েস ইয়েস ইউ আর অডিবল
বলছি স্ক্রিন প্রেজেন্ট কি করবো এখন?
করে দাও করে দাও
কারণ
এই
কনস্ট্যান্ট
এই
জয়েনিং
এই অ্যাডমিট আর 98 হয়ে গেছে
90 এন্ড আদার্স দেখাচ্ছে।
98 হয়ে গেছে এখন ডেলিগেটস ছাড়া
করেছেন?
আমি দেখিনি এখনো দুটো ফাঁকা। আমাদের ডিপার্টমেন্টে সবার হয়েছে কি?
না না হয়নি হয়নি
হয়নি, সবাই করেনি। আর প্রিন্সিপাল জয়েন করেছেন?
না উনি জাস্ট
না, না।
রিচড হোম উনি জয়েন করবেন শর্টলি সি উইল জয়েন
তাহলে একটু জায়গা রাখা উচিত ছিল।
না ঠিক আছে অসুবিধা হবে না
আচ্ছা 150 জন বললো আজকে অর্ঘদা।
তাই কি দেখ তাহলে 100-র উপরে যায় কিনা
ম্যাডাম সাউন্ড খুব লো শোনা যাচ্ছে। ম্যাডামের সাউন্ড কিন্তু খুব আস্তে।
স্পিকার ম্যাডাম এই 100-এর পরে আর জয়েন হচ্ছে না কিন্তু unfortunately you have to remove some participants so that the delegates may get entry please remove some candidates from Bangabasi college student Paulomi
আচ্ছা
outsider should be
আমি
preferred
কোনো এন্ট্রি ডিনাই করছি না, ঠিক আছে, জাস্ট থাকছে। ম্যাডাম অডিবল নয়।
Better? Hello?
you are audible but voice is low
ভয়েস ইজ লো।
Okay. HP problem হচ্ছে I don't know.
সঙ্গীতা ম্যাডাম জয়েন করতে চাইছেন কিন্তু
হয়নি হলো তো
হয়েছে।
পৌলমি অ্যাকসেপ্ট করছো?
না আমি অ্যাকসেপ্ট করিনি আর, আমি শুধু রিমুভ করছি।
হুম। আমাদের স্টুডেন্ট দেখে 4-5 জন রিমুভ করে দাও, মানে প্রিন্সিপাল ম্যাডাম ঢুকতে পারবেন না।
হ্যাঁ,
রিমুভ করো।
সঞ্জীব স্যার, আর্জু স্যার কেউই তো এখনো
হ্যাঁ।
জয়েন করেনি।
আমি দেখবো তাহলে সুবিধা হবে।
না 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 না, তুমি থাকো, আমার স্টুডেন্টদের তো ইউটিউবে
আরে
দেখতে বলা আছে না গো।
পৌলমি বা সুদীপ।
না 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 স্যার, থাকুন থাকুন, আপনি রিমুভ করবেন না।
ও ও ও ও আচ্ছা।
এই এইচওডি স্যার ওই জুলজি ডিপার্টমেন্ট বঙ্গবাসী দিয়ে জয়েন করার চেষ্টা করছেন।
সঞ্জীব স্যার কি হয়ে গেছে ক্যান্সারের এন্ট্রি?
এইচওডি
Yes,
স্যার?
I have joined.
ওকে
এইচডি স্যার জয়েন।
Yes, I have joined.
ওকে, ওয়েলকাম স্যার।
Hello.
কিন্তু আমাদের ম্যাক্সিমাম স্টুডেন্টই কিন্তু জয়েন করতে পারেনি, যারা জয়েন করেছে তারা ম্যাক্সিমাম করেছে।
Hello. শোনা যাচ্ছে?
হ্যাঁ
Yes,
স্যার,
you
হ্যাঁ
are
স্যার,
audible, you
আপনি
are
audible।
audible.
Yes, yes.
Hmm.
I faced some difficulties regarding joining the group.
Yes sir.
Yes, actually there is huge rush. All are
Huge
trying
rush,
to join.
huge rush.
Okay, okay, okay.
AM sir joined? AM sir?
Hello.
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ ঠিক আছে, জয়েন করালাম।
হ্যাঁ, জয়েন করুন। Good evening. Good evening. Good evening, everybody.
Indrani, Indrani ma'am.
হ্যাঁ
Sound.
সাউন্ডটা কি ঠিক আছে এখন? ইজ ইট বেটার দেন?
Yes, yes, better than.
Okay.
Yes, now it's
Is it
better.
like is it audible?
Yeah, yeah, it's clearly
Very
audible
much
now.
clear ma'am,
Yes.
very much clear.
If I have any internet issue, I'll just
No, no,
my
it's now perfect. It's now perfect.
Okay.
No problem.
no, I'm saying if I have any internet issue in any point of time, I'll just keep my video off, but I'll still be there.
Okay.
I'm working from home, so I have couple of dogs and they might bark in the middle of all these, so sorry for that. Okay, please don't mind, I'll try to keep them calm.
Okay, okay. Okay, we are waiting for our principal ma'am. As soon as ma'am joins, we will start the webinar.
visible, Sudipta da?
Yes, yes. The banner is visible.
Audible, sound is audible.
Sound is low. No, sound is not clear.
Sound is full. No. Though full volume is given.
Yes, now the sound is coming. Follow me. We are waiting for our principal ma'am to join.
Principal madam has joined.
No, no, not yet.
The
No, ma'am has
she
reached home and she will join soon.
So,
No, she
can
will
I phone
join
him?
soon.
Huh?
She will join soon.
Oh, okay. You have phoned, na?
Yes,
1 minute, sir.
yes.
You have phoned her.
Yes, she has WhatsApp me. Ah,
Oh, okay.
she has
Okay,
just.
okay,
Oh, madam is joining, perhaps. Yes.
okay.
Yes, our madam has joined. Our principal ma'am has joined. Ma'am, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, welcome.
Uh, can you listen to me?
Yes, ma'am, very clearly.
Okay.
Okay, let us start.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
Ma'am, she is our speaker today, Dr. Indrani Shasmal.
Yeah.
Was she our student?
No,
Student
no,
of Zoology department?
no,
No, I
no, no.
wasn't.
Oh, oh. In Virginia. Are you the scholar in Virginia University?
No. So the organization I'm working at right now, their headquarters is in Virginia, but I am working. My job is distance, so I work from home. I'm in North Dakota right now.
Oh, okay.
Okay, ma'am, should we start?
Yes. Yes, you start.
Good evening, everybody. A warm welcome to today's international webinar on wildlife biology as a career option in India and abroad. India observes Wildlife Week from October 2nd to October 8th every year with the aim of protecting India's fauna. On this occasion, we have arranged this webinar within a very short period of time, and I am very happy to tell you that we have got about 600 registrations, which are beyond our expectations, with participants from countries like UK, USA, and different states of India like Maharashtra, Manipur, Tripura. Also, large number of students and faculty members from different colleges of Kolkata and other parts of West Bengal has registered in this webinar. And we are already full in our Google Meet platform. Sorry who could not join us with Google Meet platform. Kindly follow our YouTube live streaming in our YouTube channel. The link has been provided to you. Uh, Bangabasi College is one of the oldest colleges of West Bengal, established long back in 1887. Department of Zoology was established in 1940 and has a glorious history and bright future. The department is presently funded by DST
আমাদের
fees
ঘরেই
and
মনে হয় এরকম
DBT
হতো,
boost
সবার ঘরে তো
programs.
ঠিকঠাক আছে।
Our Google Meet platform
তারপর
is
ভালো
already
হয় না,
full, as I have already told, and those who are in Google Meet, please keep your
দেখো মমির
voice
ঘরে দেখো।
mute. Please keep audio and video mute so that we can run this webinar smoothly. Request to all participants. So at the beginning, I would like to invite respected principal madam of our college, Dr. Himadri Bhattacharya Chakraborty ma'am, to deliver the welcome speech. Ma'am, please.
Good evening. Good evening to everybody, all the faculty members of Zoology department and other departments, if there are somebody from other departments, the speaker and the students. Now, I welcome all of you. It is my pleasure to say that, and this is an international webinar. It has been arranged by Zoology department. My heartfelt thanks to the speaker, Dr. Indrani Shashmal. Hope that the students will be benefited by her informative speech. Now, I wish that this will be very much successful to all of you. Yes, here I am finishing. I will not say in elaborately. Now you start, all of you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for your worthy and valuable speech. And please encouraging us and be with us always. Now, I would like to request Dr. Sudipto Mondol, convener of this webinar, to please welcome our eminent speaker, Dr. Indrani Shashmal, of this webinar. Over to you.
It's a great pleasure for me to introduce our speaker today, Dr. Indrani Shashmal, who is my MSc classmate and a very good friend. She is going to talk to us about wildlife biology as a career option in India and abroad. Uh, Dr. Shashmal has brilliant academic record. She did her MSc in Zoology with specialization in molecular genetics from Presidency College, University of Calcutta. Indrani started her research career at Wildlife Institute of India, Dehradun, as a research scholar under the supervision of renowned wildlife biologist Dr. Y.V. Jhala. As part of her research, she conducted field surveys to estimate large carnivore population. During the study, she had to work under challenging conditions in several different landscapes like Terai Arc of Himalayas, Central India, Eastern India, and the Deccan Plateau. Then she moved to USA and continued her research work as graduate research assistant at South Dakota State University, Department of Natural Resource Management, Brookings. There she worked on the population genetic and habitat mapping of swift fox. She received PhD degree from South Dakota State University. The topic of her PhD dissertation was Population Viability Assessment of Swift Fox in Badland National Park. She was awarded Lloyd Fredrickson Outstanding PhD Student of the Year 2010. What an achievement. She continued her research work as research associate and postdoctoral scholar in the same university, where she developed crucial habitat assessment tool for assessing wildlife habitats across the state of South Dakota. She also acted as instructor in the Department of Natural Resource Management. She has also worked as independent contractor in Turner Endangered Species Fund, Bozeman, Montana. She was an art volunteer in Natural Resource Conservation Services, Brookings, South Dakota. Presently, Dr. Indrani Shashmal is holding the prestigious position of Development Manager, Grants, Cheetah Conservation Fund, Alexandria, Virginia, USA. She has published more than 15 research articles in reputed peer-reviewed international journals. She has also participated and presented her research in several international conferences, seminars, and workshops. So the speaker has huge experience in her academic research and professional career, and I am sure the speech is going to be very interesting and illuminating one. Before I invite Dr. Shashmal, I would like to inform participants that during the speech, you can post your queries or questions in the chat box. We will present those questions to the speaker at the end of her speech. Those in the Google Meet may also ask questions directly at the end of the presentation. So now I invite today's speaker, Dr. Indrani Shashmal, to deliver her speech. Over to you, Indrani.
Thanks, Sudipto. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you are clearly audible.
Thank you so much, Udipto and Himadri ma'am. That was a very elaborate introduction, and I don't know. It's overwhelming. I don't know whether I did that great of an achievement. I did work here in this field for more than 10. I am working in this field presently more than 10 years. So did some work in these lines and got some experience. First of all, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Thank you for attending this webinar. So the presentation, I would say I'll start with the presentation, and if you have any question, you can post it, and then after the presentation, we will have a questionnaire session. So if you have any question that you might be thinking of while I'm presenting, you can just write it down or remember it, and at the end of the presentation, we can discuss that maybe. I'm sure we will have time for that. My presentation is not that big. I have kept it small so that we can talk more about, or we can do more discussion. Um, so Shudipto, can I share my screen for the presentation, or
Yes, yes,
are you?
definitely you can say.
I'm not very familiar with the Google platform.
It's
Actually, I'm
okay, it's okay. Take your
more
time.
familiar with Windows, like Microsoft and Zoom.
Zoom.
Yeah.
Yes, your presentation is visible now.
Okay. Sure. Okay. So, Shudipto requested me to share my experience as my journey as a wildlife biology, and I started as my education is in zoology, and then in India, and then I did my PhD in wildlife biology. So I thought of like starting there because otherwise I'll be totally lost where to start and where to end. So my education, I actually did my BSc or bachelor's from Behala College. Um, um, that has a story behind it, maybe for later. But yeah, I did my graduation from Behala College, and then I did my master's from Presidency College, and I had zoology as honors when I did my graduation, and then I joined Presidency College. Zoology program, of course, and my special topic, or as we used to say there, is was genetics. I was fascinated by that subject, so I took that, and I always loved animals and loved to work with animals, especially wildlife. So um, so I joined Wildlife Institute of India. They were recruiting junior research fellows in Tiger Project. So that is the year when they actually started the Tiger Project. They did many pilot project before that, and this was kind of like a federal or a central government project. So they wanted to do assessment of tigers and co-predators and their prey all over India. So they needed a lot of research fellows, or a lot of like students to work on these projects, because they had to deploy them at different parts of the country. I was fortunate enough, and this project was headed by Dr. Jhala, YV Jhala. I suppose most of you know him. He's a very reputed figure in India. And Dr. no, not Mr. Kamar Qureshi, and some like Dr. Shankar. Sorry. Um, then so I we got our training in Corbett and in Rajaji National Park, but then when the, after we received our training, we were deployed in different parts of the country to work, actually to collect data, and then come back. We used to come back to Dehradun, WII, and analyze and assess that data. So my first field was Melgha Tiger Reserve. It was in Maharashtra. So what we used to do is we used to first survey the area, the tiger reserve, and then find suitable areas to deploy camera traps. We used motion detected camera traps, where if Two cameras were put on two sides of a trail, and if anything moves through that trail, it will automatically take pictures. So we didn't have digital cameras at that time, and this I'm talking about 2006 2007. So we didn't have digital cameras at that time, so we had those rolls. So every time we had to visit those camera trap locations every other day to find out what is going on with with that. So sometimes in some forests we had elephants, and elephants didn't like cameras at all, so they used to destroy the cameras. Like, they used to destroy them in pieces, and they used to bury the rolls, like the camera rolls, under the ground. So it was funny. They, I mean, they generally say elephants are very intelligent animals, and we actually saw the proof of that, or experienced that, that how intelligent they could be. So we used to deploy cameras, and then when tigers, oh, we used to survey the area, so we knew that there are tiger signs like pug marks or scat, things like that. So then make sure that that area is being used by tiger and deploy camera traps there. And to identify like tigers, we needed picture from both sides of the animal, right side and left side, because they have unique stripe patterns. um, Say for example, you can see this are the two pictures from same tiger, left and right. This is another tiger, and you can see how different their stripe pattern is. If we say this area and, oops, sorry, go back, this area and this area, they are both the same size. Or here, so we used to identify tigers through their stripe patterns. It's like fingerprint for them. This was the biggest tiger. The up right hand side or left hand side tiger is the biggest tiger in Melghat Tiger Reserve, where we were working in that area. Simlipal, I was fortunate enough to work in Simlipal Tiger Reserve. Um, Simlipal is notorious about, like, it has not many people want to work there because of, first of all, because of malaria. And I had malaria, of course. Whoever works there, they definitely had malaria. But the uniqueness of that habitat was that we found some melanistic tigers there, where these kind of tigers were nowhere found in any other parts of India, but in Shimlipal Tiger Reserve. So as you can see that they are almost like somebody has, or they have yellow stripes on black, like that. And we witnessed two cubs, one of which was like almost black, like you can see. So that was a unique feature. And these are my these are the days I enjoyed the most. These are my field days, which till now I can say that these are the days that I enjoyed most. That's more like memorable. Well, we were also assessing other co-predators, so we assessed leopards also, and prey species as well. There, I worked in Bhadra Tiger Reserve as well, and for prey abundance, we used to walk transit, and like with observations, with the distance, with the soft record distance, we used to assess prey estimation. So in central India, there are dholes or wild dogs, and sloth bears are very dangerous there. We witnessed some wild cats, sambar, and barking deer, and gaur, of course, gaur. Elephants were also there, but they were, I mean, we were more scared of elephants and sloth bears when we were out in the fields than lions, tigers, or leopards, or any other carnivore, to be specific. So after my work with Wildlife Institute of India, I wanted to do my PhD. So I wanted to see how people are doing their research or their work in outside India. And USA, of course, has more opportunity than for students than in any other countries. Like UK has some, Canada has, Australia has, South Africa has, but it's like the USA path is kind of like more common for that we know of, and they are more accepting towards students than in any other parts of the world that I know of. Now this is what I'm talking from my experience. It can be I might be wrong. It can be different for somebody else. So to do my PhD, I did some in USA. I did some research and I came up with the information that I have to appear for GRE. So GRE, there are two different kinds of GRE. One is a general GRE, one is a subject GRE. So for wildlife biology, most of the colleges that accept students from abroad, they generally don't need subject GRE. Some colleges might need, but that depends on what the requirement is, and it varies from college to college. So I would suggest you find out, if you are interested in any of the colleges, you find out whether they need subject GRE or not, but they all will need general GRE. So the first step will be to take the GRE test, and since we are from country that from a country that is not English speaking, or not do not have our native language is not English, so we have to sit for the TOEFL or IELTS. So in USA, mostly they accept TOEFL, but for Canada, Australia, those countries want IELTS instead of TOEFL. So the first step is you decide where you want to go, do some research on that, and then find out whether they need TOEFL or IELTS. If you want to sit for both, you're more than welcome. Anyway, so I did some research on colleges, like in which colleges they have programs, wildlife biology programs. Went into the colleges web pages, and then tried to find out whether they have master's program or PhD program, or they have both, because some colleges or universities have only master's program for wildlife biology, some have both master's and PhD. So the first step is you go in the college's webpage, find out the department, find out the professors. They have staff listed in their university webpage. You can click on each staff or faculty and find out what they are doing, whether you are interested in what they are doing. And then what I did is I approached individual professors, and also I looked at the Texas A&M University website, wildlife job site. They have internships, full-time positions, then graduate positions, all listed. So that's a very good site to explore. I would say explore that site. There are they have few options of master students as well as PhD student what is assistantship actually. So undergraduates, I don't know, they don't generally get assistantships, but if you are a master student or a PhD student, you generally look for assistantship. There are two kinds of assistantship. One is teaching assistantship and one is research assistantship. So teaching assistantship is you are doing your master's or your PhD, but you are getting money for teaching. So you have to do teaching separately than your project, like the project you are working on. And research assistantship, for me, it was little easier, or I wanted to come to USA with a research assistantship, not a teaching assistantship, because teaching was a kind of like an extra responsibility on top of the coursework that I had to do, as well as the research work for the project. And mind you, in masters as well as PhD, you have to do research projects. So only you come with assistantship to USA if you in a master's program or a PhD program if there is a project and you are doing your research on that project. Um, so yeah, some people like to love to teach, so for them it will be a good experience because that might help them um, builds their teaching skills which they can utilize when they go in or after they finish their graduation, if they want to stay in academia. They like to teach. Research assistantship is like there is money for the research you are doing towards the project or towards the master's or PhD degree that you will get after the end of the program. um, so for me, what I did, I was applying to directly applying to the professors, um, like through email. I was emailing them actually, basically, and letting them know, introducing myself, what I have been doing so far, what my experience is, what my education is, and that what the project they are working on. I will be very interested to work on those projects if they have any opportunity. And most of the professors are very nice. They will get back to you if they don't have anything. They'll get back to you saying, encouraging you to apply to somebody else they might know of, or they might have something which they will ask you to apply for. So in my case, I heard back from South Dakota State University. Dr. Jonathan Jenks was my PI, or my guide. So he reached out to me saying that, yes, I have a project, this like population viability analysis project. Would you like to join as a PhD student? I said, of course, I said yes, because the project sounded very interesting. It had like, it was about a population of foxes which were extirpated from a landscape where they used to be found, and then they reintroduced some individual in that landscape, in that habitat, to um, expand the population. And after the reintroduction, they wanted to assess the population, how viable is that reintroduced population. So it had field work as well as they wanted to assess the genetic diversity in that population. So it was an interesting project for me. So I jumped into it. So I was like, yes, of course, sure. So once the professor accepted me, and he said that he has a project that can pay me. So I'll get research assistantship from that project, or where that is funded, where I can work on to complete my PhD. I had to apply to the graduate school. So that is another thing. You have to apply to the graduate school, of course. Every college or every university has their own requirement. You have to send up all those materials or documents that they need, and then you have to go through visa process. Generally, students come in F1 visa. Um, so this is how the whole, like, getting accepted in PhD or master's program in abroad um, works. There might be other ways. I mean, I'm not familiar with. I'm just talking from my experience, and I don't know very much about the undergraduate situation with wildlife here. But undergraduate is mostly costly because they don't get assistantship. So, as I talked about, my PhD project was population viability analysis, where I had to go out in summer. I had to go out in Badlands. So Badlands National Park looks like this. So when I went there for the first time, it appeared like I am in a different planet. Maybe I'm in moon, because it was so very different. And I used to work with tigers in India, so we used in forests, like heavily forested areas with trees and shrubland and everything. And now in South Dakota, it's like prairie. As you can see from this picture of the truck, where the truck is, that was my field. So it was like open fields for miles and miles. It was so different for me. I'm like, okay, what is this? Is where am I going to find wildlife here? I'm not used to grassland. But anyway, so and foxes generally come out at night. They are nocturnal, so I had to go out at night. This was the antenna fitted. I For my project, the foxes were fitted with the VHF collars, not GPS collar at that time. I worked with VHF collars, so I had to go out in the field to track their location. It's not that in GPS collar nowadays, mostly people use GPS collars, so GPS collars can just, you don't need to actually go out in the field. You can download data from the collars. They transmit that data. So it was like my field work was in the summer, mostly here. Summer in South Dakota, it's the northern portion of USA. So the summer is only for 3 months, 3 to 4 months. And that is when we can go out in the field and work actually. Otherwise, it's mostly covered with snow. And I would say 7, 8 months of the year. So at night, I used to go in that truck and track for foxes to find out what their location is, what kind of location they are using. And then in the morning, again, I used to go out in the fields to collect vegetation data from the location that I noted at the previous night, last night. Because one of my objective was also to like assess the habitat or the um, yeah, habitat, uh, do some habitat assessments. So then I also collected, so we used to capture foxes also, as we can see in this picture. These are called Sherman traps. We used to set those out at night with baits. And then in the morning, early in the morning, we used to go there and check if we captured any foxes or not. Take them out, handle them, draw blood from them, parasites from them, check them overall, fitted them with a collar, and then let them go, and so that we can track them. So after the field work was done, I came back to, and so my university was South Dakota State University was in Brookings, but my field was in Badland National Park, which was like 5, 6 hours drive from the university. So I had to stay in my field for that 3 month time, and then after the field work is done, wrapped up and came back to the university town. There in the genetics lab, we used to collect samples, blood samples from the foxes and those Wattman cards. And then after we came back in the lab, used to take punches of those. I used to take punches of those cards, and with the DNA extraction kit, it's called Qiagen. Qiagen is the name of the company which we use for extracting DNA. Extracted DNA to find out and did the with the help of the microsatellite loci used to find out heterozygosity, or how much diverse is their gene, to find out the viability. It's a part of the viability analysis. We have to find out how genetically varied is that population. So the higher the genetic variation, the better. So as I have been mentioning all through, what was my some of the objective was, we wanted to look at the age specific survival. Survival is important to find out whether the population is viable or not, of course. So age specific survival, and that generally we get that data from radio collars. Then genetic diversity, of course. Habitat selection of females with foxes during their pup rearing period. So that is a very good what should I say, uh, like to assess a viability of a population parameter. This is a very important parameter. How much, what the pups are, what are the habitat that the female is selecting during rearing the pups. Because if they don't select proper habitats, the their success will be very low. So there will be very less number of pups that will grow to supplement the population, that will survive to supplement the population. So if there aren't many survivals or young generations to replace the old ones, obviously the viability will decrease. Then the last part is determining the viability, and I used a software program called Vortex for determining that viability. So feed that program with information on survival, on genetic diversity, on habitat, different parameters. We have to feed all the information to that program, and that program will simulate and give you the data, whether how is the population doing, how long is it going to survive in that habitat, or change the parameters, like what can be, if it is not um, viable, then what are the things that we can do to make it viable. It's all simulation, so we are kind of like predicting what is going to happen to the population in the future. So some of the conclusion, obviously we found out that the annual occurrence survival rates for pups, yearlings, and adults are not that great. Well, the pups and yearlings are actually low. Adults are still okay, which is the case with any other carnivore or any in any population um, as well. The genetic diversity was actually great in the population, which was good news. Um, and we found out what kind of habitat they were selecting for, and found out, as we hypothesized, our hypothesis was in accordance with our, or with my finding, is that they are selecting for short grass prairie or habitat which has more visibility, so that they have in, intra-guild predation or competition with coyote. And the coyotes, generally they're bigger in size, so they kill swift foxes. So they wanted swift fox like to have select habitats which have greater visibility, so that they can see whether there is any other predator that can compete with them. Um, so the population viability analysis, we found out that from my study, I found out that the population was not viable at all. It had 100% chance of getting extinct in the next 10 years, which actually has happened. So all the foxes have moved out from where they have been reintroduced. So basically, it was not a very good habitat. Plus, they initially they started doing good because the coyote number was down, but as the coyote number came up, they started doing not so good. Um, I also came up with solution. Of course, you cannot only say that this is a problem. You have to come up with solution. That's what research is all about. So the solution was, you have to either supplement the population or make the habitat somehow suitable for them, um, increase the prey availability. Mostly they were omnivores, so they were not very selective predators, so which was good for them. And keeping the predators under control, predators like coyote. Anyhow, that was my PhD project, and it was, I found it very very helpful, very useful to publish your work as before, even before you actually defend it. It's, I know it's not very feasible or possible, might not be possible for masters, but PhD masters are generally 2 to 3 years. PhD programs are generally like 4 or 5 years. So so like genetic diversity, I published my paper got published before I even defended my thesis. So when I was defending my thesis, if somebody has any problem with my study, like say, okay, I think your study was wrong, you did everything wrong, You can just defend it by saying, well, I have a peer reviewed publication, so it has been reviewed by peers. So if they think it's right, you are the only person who think it's wrong. So I don't know. There might be something going on. Anyhow, so I managed to publish all those papers that came out of my PhD work, even before I defended my theses, which was a good thing because I didn't have to. Um, they didn't have a very hard time defending my theses. So, some pointers here. It is important to know what you want to do and where you want to do it from, but it is more important to know what you don't want to do. Because, see, like, if it is important to know that, okay, I want to do a master's or PhD in wildlife biology, but or what I want to go this, but it is more I feel like from my experience it is more important to know that, okay, I don't want to stay in academia, or I don't want to go work for an NGO, or I don't want to work for government. Like, so if you know what you don't want, you stay away from it. There are other options that you explore. It's always good to explore options, but I would say explore your options in time. Otherwise, if you are failing too many times, it makes you frustrated, and if you are frustrated, you tend to give up. So try, but do your research, do your thinking. Where do you want to go from there? Or what kind of job you want or are expecting, whether that is the right option for you or not. So I would say exploring those options even before you go for it is very important. So after I finished my PhD, I wanted to stay in academics for a while. I didn't want to move to any So mostly, if you go out of academics, mostly what comes is management oriented positions. So I wanted to do some more research work and see how it's going before I go into other things like applications. Well, I'm not saying it's not important. It is important, but that's what I wanted to do. So I went for postdoctoral research. Postdoctoral research. So you are a doctorate now. You cannot. Most easy option for you to do a research, join or stay in research is as a postdoc or a research associate, like that in labs. I joined SCSU, like South Dakota State University, where I did my PhD from, to do my postdoc, and my postdoc was to assess wildlife habitat, a crucial habitat assessment, to develop a crucial habitat assessment tool for the state of South Dakota. And this project was funded by the Western Governors Union, and they were working with all the 17 western states of USA to come up with a map of crucial wildlife habitats. So when they are doing any infrastructure development like roadworks, railroads, or transportation, or even electric pipelines, anything like that, they could avoid the habitats that's crucial for wildlife. So it was kind of like an um, application based research, and I SDSU got the contract for South Dakota State, and I was working to develop a map for the entire state of South Dakota. So this, as you can see, it's a sharp-tailed grouse lek distribution. I'm not going much into this discussion. This might sound boring. So maybe just like this kind of map we developed, where the red, or as you can see, the more orange, more reddish, so are the areas which are crucial for wildlife. So any development, any infrastructure development the state of South Dakota wants to do, they should avoid those habitats, not to, if they don't want to affect the wildlife of the state. And there were many factors we had to we had to consider to come up with maps, with these kind of maps. Okay. Um, then actually I came after my postdoc work in India. I decided, I haven't listed that in here because it was a very short experience, or short, for a short period of time I did it. So I went back to India. I went to Gujarat to work with an NGO. It's called the FES, or for, I kind of forgot the um, full term, but it was associated with Irma, and they were actually doing similar kind of job that I was doing for my postdoc. They were trying to come up with a map for India, that kind of map for India, where which tells us what are the crucial habitats of for wildlife in India. So I joined that project, and I came back to India, um, and worked in there for 6 months or so, and didn't like it very much. But it was not going, things were not turning out the way I expected. So like, it was not, things were not getting done. So it it was kind of frustrating for me. So again, I came back to USA. I got a postdoctoral research associate job in North Carolina State University. So I came back there and joined that position. And that postdoc position was actually, generally postdoc positions are, if you have a project, you work on a project. Otherwise, most of them are like you work on different kinds of project that's going on with graduate students. So here in North Carolina State University, that the postdoc was mostly like that. So I did, they had different projects going on, or they finished many projects where they wanted to get the things published more, get the analysis done. So they had the data sitting there, but data is of no use if you don't analyze them. So I was working on different projects. One of it was habitat selection of coyotes there. So we found out that coyotes actually are, um, they move according to seasonal. There is a relationship of movement in coyotes with seasons, and there is also movement. Their movement ecology is also related with whether they are transient or resident coyotes also. So that was an interesting paper. We published that paper, of course. There was a I worked on a black bear disease study, where this the top map shows, it was a part of North Carolina called Asheville, where there were many black bears found, and there were residents also in that area. So they had like human wildlife conflict kind of thing, and they wanted to find out whether there is any zoonotic disease that's getting transmitted from wildlife to the human population or to domestic population. And we actually found out that all the bears that there was not, it was not very significant, but we did find out that there was a relationship between the bears that were actually tested positive for leptospirosis, was those which were near to localities. Then I also worked on a project on small mammals, where I don't know whether I have listed them. I don't think I have. So we wanted to find out small mammal distribution in one part of in the longleaf pine, or just effect of fire, controlled fire on small mammal distribution. Uh, okay. So again, another one was habitat selection of turkey, wild turkey. Then I shifted my focus from postdocs, and postdocs are generally like termed positions. It's not like it's full term, but it's not permanent positions. So I was looking for more permanent positions. So I joined the Dakota College at Botno in North Dakota. And the reason behind joining Dakota College at Botno in North Dakota was, again, because my husband is a professor there. So we wanted to stay in the same place, because before that we were in different places. He was in South Dakota completing his PhD. I was in India, and then moved to North Carolina, which was not going very well. So I decided to move to North Dakota, and since he got this assistant professor position at the same college. And they had a very interesting position opened up. That's their grant writer. And I had experience of writing grants, because you need money to work on your project. So of course, money is important. So I wanted to have this experience as well as a full-time grant writer. So that was my first full-time grant writer experience. And to my surprise, I did very well there. So I got some confidence. Okay. And I started liking this job, because you never get bored, because you are not working on only one project. There are different kinds of projects you are writing grants for. So you have to do your research. You have to do your, like, get knowledgeable about that subject where you are, for which you are writing grants. So you will never get bored. But it's, of course, it time and money. Wherever there is time and money, there is a lot of stress. So if you can take the stress, I would say this is a very good option for you. Then I joined Cheetah Conservation Fund. Now, Cheetah Conservation Fund, I'm doing a similar thing, like writing grants, managing them, reporting them, researching for what kind of grants are available according to what the organization need. Now, Cheetah Conservation Fund is actually located in Namibia, but they have different fundraising um, branches in different parts of the country, in USA, in UK, in Australia, in France. So I work for the USA team here, but I write grants for everyone. Like, even if I work with the UK team or the France team or the Australia team, to help them write grants for applying to different organizations and agencies. They have, so cheetah conservation funds work to conserve the cheetahs in a very holistic way. So they work with future farmers of Africa, where they want to uproot or they want to solve the problem that's starting from the root, from the grassroots. So the farmers or the people who actually share the habitat with cheetah, they need to be living in harmony with them, not in conflict with them. So they want to help the farmers so that they don't get into conflict with the cheetahs. So they don't kill them. So they don't go into illegal wildlife trade. So anyway, livestock guarding dog is one of the programs. You can go to their site and actually explore the organization. They have some volunteer and internship opportunities as well. And I would say, even if you want to go for a master's or a PhD program here in USA or anywhere else, it's very important you get some experience, like real life hands-on experience before, because they value this hand-on or your work experience more than your education, whether you have you are the first class first in your MSc program or something like that. They value more of what you have real experience in that field. So I would say academic, like, of course, good grades are important. They will look for good grades. It will take you to, say, 50% of your path. The other 50% you need to gain hands-on experience before even you start applying for these positions. So I hope this was helpful. And I don't know how much time we have. If we have any time to take questions, I would be happy to take them. Thanks.
Thank you, Indrani. Thank you very much for such a nice presentation. Um,
You're welcome.
Now, I would like to Paulomi, please carry on with the question answer session. We have some questions in our YouTube chat box and also in Google Meet chat box. Paulomi.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much, ma'am.
You're welcome. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much for your magnificent and phenomenal speech. It's a wonderful journey and inspiring too. I think it's very much enriching for the students. We have few questions from YouTube Dias and from Google Meet also. Will I address?
Sure. I'll try my best to answer them.
Okay. The first one, Deepayan Shorkar is asking, ma'am, did you ever have a close encounter with tigers?
Oh yes, I did. And the first time I had an encounter with tiger, I thought it's exciting, very exciting. I was not scared at all. And the same day we went, the tiger was actually, I would say, 20 feet from us. So we were, it was coming towards us, and we were going towards the tiger. So we didn't know that we were approaching. Tiger didn't know he was approaching, and it was a male tiger, the biggest tiger. And when we saw it, we just stopped there. um, do not run, do not turn back. If you encounter tiger, just stay there and let the animal decide what to do. If it's coming after you, you have to run. So but do not take the initiative of doing anything. So the tiger went back. It was very angry, it was growling, and I thought, oh my god, it was so exciting. I was not scared at all. And then the next camera trap we went to check, there we heard tiger growling. And then at that moment I knew, okay, the one that was previously when we encountered tiger, it was my adrenaline rush, and I was actually scared. So I felt the fear at the next second time. So yes, those were fun days.
Wonderful. Next, Orunima Shah is asking what I have to do to take wildlife biology as a career. I think it's very clear from your presentation.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be very sure that you want to take wildlife biology as a career, because there is not much. You don't make a lot of money in wildlife biology like any other field. You have to be really passionate. There is a lot of struggle. But in the time when I started as a wildlife biologist, the options that I got are there. There are nowadays there are many more options, I would say. So be very clear that you want to do this. Otherwise, yeah, you can experiment, you can try, but again, you're just maybe wasting time if you really is not into it. Yeah, but good luck with that.
Okay. Ruksha Dasgupta is asking, does wildlife biology has its application in both the private and public sector, or is it restricted to anyone?
Well, I I would say it has applications in private sectors and public sectors as well. Depending on mostly environmental biology, if we are looking at, it has more applications in those lines. So I know wildlife biologists who we worked with are some of my colleagues that they are they work for environmental. They are environmental biologists now. So yes, to answer your question, yes.
Ankun Dash is asking for about WII net and what about the Wildlife Institute of India? I think he wants to get an
WII,
idea
yes,
on WII.
WII is Wildlife Institute of India, and there are so WII used to have a master's program and a PhD program. They were affiliated with Swarashtra University, I think, but then they stopped that program last year. They are trying to get their affiliation with some other university. I think it didn't work out very well. And otherwise, they have this walk-in interview. So how I got my job in the Tiger Project is through walk-in interview. So just keep eye on their website. For walk-in interviews they do. And also there is FRI, Forest Research Institute. They have good programs. I know many of my my colleagues and my juniors were from Forest Research Institute who came to work with wildlife. Bhopal has also very good forest institute as well.
Thank you, ma'am. And Onumna Manna is asking how to contact with the foreign universities and the limit of the cost. How much cost to study foreign universities?
Well, it depends. So, the graduate school, the cost of study, you can get that information from the graduate school of that university. And as I mentioned in my
Variable also,
presentation,
and it's variable also.
what? Sorry,
Oh,
it
okay, it's
varies. Yeah,
variable.
yeah, it varies. So you have to contact the graduate school for that. And as I mentioned, if you get assistantship, most of the assistantship cover will generally will be enough for covering your tuition fees as well.
Anish Mukherjee is asking, is there any wildlife management jobs or positions without PhD in India or abroad?
Yeah, sure. You have to have experience, as I mentioned. You have to have some kind of formal training for working in that field. Otherwise, you start as an intern or a volunteer. So even without PhD, if it will be good if you have masters in wildlife biology, because it's very competitive also. So if there is, say for example, if there are two candidates, one have a wildlife biology degree in wildlife biology and also the experience, hands-on experience for a few years, and you are competing with that candidate without any educational background in wildlife biology or without any hands-on experience or practical experience, I would say, of course the uh, other one will be selected, right? I mean, that's very common sense. It's very competitive. So
Well, Manisha Datta is asked a very interesting question. Ma'am, did you always believe in yourself from the very beginning that you would become this far?
yes, that is very important. I mean, you believe in yourself. There is struggle. I struggled a lot. But so this it was the first time I came from India to South Dakota, USA. That all by myself. My parents were very nervous. I didn't know anybody here, and from Kolkata, I came to South Dakota, Brookings, which was like mostly minus 20, 30s, like in Fahrenheit. So mostly covered with ice. It was a very difficult experience. Fun at at the same time, difficult. You were leaving your parents, your family, your friend, everybody. There's a lot of struggle, but yes, of course, you have to believe in yourself. Otherwise, you will never succeed in any field, whatsoever you go in.
Very realistic question indeed. Then Advita Sinha is asking, ma'am, do you need to be much more familiar of the adequate seasons for coming across with the wild tigers as you want to capture them through cameras? I mean, then how you can know about their sudden encounters? And isn't it a little bit challenging if they are behave carefully?
Yeah, you are working with wildlife. It will be challenging. That's the fun. That's why you are in wildlife biology, right? Yes, we were when we were out in the fields. We were more scared of elephants and sloth bears, as I mentioned, than tigers, because carnivores generally try to avoid people. And there is a saying. That if you are seeing a tiger, that means the tiger has already seen you 10 times. So yeah, it's scary. It's when I shared my experience with the first encountering a tiger, I thought it's fun, it's so thrilling, but it was fear at some point of time. And we were not allowed to carry any weapon, so nothing.
Well, Ishita Ghosh is asking, what are the examinations that you took after MSc? I think it's also clear from your journey.
Presentation.
Yeah,
Yeah, after
your
MSc, yeah,
start.
generally if you are going abroad, for USA it's GRE, of course. And TOEFL for Canada, it's TOEFL, IELTS, and I don't know what other exams they require. But for USA, it's GRE.
Antima Pal is asking, issue rather. there are many methods to prevent poaching abroad, and it is hard that it is very effective. But elsewhere, this phenomenon is quite frightening for the wildlife. It is not profitable to bring strict laws. It is one of the main reasons for the decline of the biodiversity. Is there anything that can be done to permanently prevent this burning problem? Is it possible only by the bringing strict laws? If say
No.
something about this problem and solution.
Yeah, I mean it's not possible to stop poaching or any illegal wildlife trafficking with strict laws only. You need to implement. You need people to implement those laws, but it will go so far. So it needs to be ingrained in within the human population who is sharing their habitat or their home with the wildlife. So it starts all from the community or from people. There is government is a part of people. Government can do so far, but unless the people realize that we need wildlife for our progeny, or we can live harmoniously with them, unless unless that conflict is mitigated, like in forest or outside the forest, there are many farmers, or they have different livestock and they get into conflict with this. So unless that conflict is mitigated, it cannot be only taken care of through strict laws. I mean, people has to realize that they own wildlife. That's their property, not for. And if I do not want to litter my house, right, I throw stuff outside the house, but I don't litter my house. I don't throw like rotten stuff inside my house. I throw it outside. So unless you have the sense of belonging, that it belongs to you, it won't get resolved.
Next, Arnesh Mondal is asking how to manage the expenses in the abroad. I think it's also
Yeah,
informed.
if you have to get assistantship. Without assistantship, generally undergraduates they don't get assistantship, so that's very hard for them to get. I mean, without assistantship, it's difficult. It's not, I would say, not possible. So you always look for, if you are joining a project, if uh, if you can manage assistantship, either teaching or research. Sometimes to start with, they might not have research assistantship, but they might provide you teaching assistantship, and then once they get enough money in the project, they might give you research assistantship as well. So yeah, always look for assistantship, whatever program you are joining.
Well, Orijit Banerjee is asking, ma'am, I'm an industrial fish and fisheries student. Can you tell me about some opportunity?
Yeah, sure. Like wildlife biology, they have fisheries as well. So South Dakota State University, what I did my PhD, they had wildlife and fisheries. That program was wildlife and fisheries. Then they changed their name into natural resource management. So don't only look for wildlife biology programs, but also through natural resource management, they have faculty who works with wildlife biology and fisheries. So it's very important you look into their profiles to find out what work they do, and then approach them. I found it. I find it very helpful.
Many more questions are flying through the inbox.
Well, what you can do is you can like jot down all the questions and send it to me, and if we don't have much time, of course,
No,
and
no,
I'll try
we
to.
can
Okay, I
we
can
can
do
carry
it.
on for another 10 minutes. I think. We
Okay.
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 And
I'm taking
actually,
note.
the webinar is aimed for the students and to answer to their queries. So the interaction may go on for another 10 minutes. If Indrani, you don't have any problem.
No, I can do that.
Okay. Then Paulomi, then continue.
Okay. Bhashwati Das is asking, ma'am, how to pursue MSc from presidency after doing graduation from Calcutta University? Is there any entrance exam? I think it's now the present position is relevant answer for her. That
Yeah,
time
I mean
and now present
that
time has been changed.
Yes, it might have changed. It was more than 10 years back. So I didn't have to appear for any entrance exam. I had to apply, like, fill out the form, and they had cut off lip marks like everywhere else, and they have shortlets as well. So
And subject presidency as per not now as zoology, it's life science for Bhashuti Das. Okay. Konkona Das is asking, were the exams for applying for a foreign university difficult and how are the exams structured?
well, GRE, you have to, like, common, like the general one, you have to I did coach take I took coaching from George something. I don't even remember the name yet today, but there are different organized. What?
George Telegraph.
Yes, maybe something like that. So,
Oh,
to be very honest, I don't remember. But yes, so I did take tuition from there.
Hello.
You have to prepare
Ah.
yourself, of course, for the GRE. I took
বলুন
like
বলুন
I
বলুন
prepared for at least 6-7 months before I appeared for the exam.
হুম
TOEFL was
Hmm.
not that difficult for me, maybe because I was a Vidya Bharati
না
student, and
আর একটা দেয়া আছে
we
দেখুন
were
যেটা ব্লু
taught in
হয়ে
English
আছে না
medium,
হলে
so
এটা কি আপনার
it was
হোয়াটসঅ্যাপ
not that
নাম্বার
difficult, but you do have to
আমি
that
আপনাকে
tuition or
আচ্ছা
the
আমি
George
কোনো অসুবিধা
Telegraph,
নেই আপনাকে
but they do coach you for GRE and
আমি আপনাকে
TOEFL.
ফিডব্যাক
GRE is a
লিংকটা
little
পাঠিয়ে দেবো
difficult, and that structure might have changed also over time because I took it a while back.
when
You need preparation.
Pooja Mondal is asking for the job opportunities in marine environment.
There's a lot marine, and actually it's industry based, so I would say there's more opportunities in marine or fisheries than I would say wildlife. But I'm not very familiar with those if you ask me, because I didn't explore that field. But wherever there is industry, there's more job opportunities, I'm guessing.
Okay. Anisha Pal is asking, ma'am, which type of internship or training programs in India is looked for during interviews in universities abroad?
Anything that matches what you want to do. So if you want to go for a fisheries program, of course, any experience, any practical experience that you have with fisheries program obviously will be helpful. If you want to go in wildlife, any practical experience with handling wildlife or working in a lab, if you want to go in a lab based position, working in a lab. So it depends, like, where you want to go, if it is relevant for the experience you have gained, is it relevant to the position you are applying for.
Anisha Pal, question is over. Now the Sharuda Samadar is asking for, do we need to learn American English to carry on the research in America?
No, well, you will get a hang of it once you are here. Of course you have to, but no, you need to know how to communicate, because that will be your medium of communication of everything. So you need to know English.
Sahirul Khan is asking, ma'am, how many type sample to collect in your project and how to analyze this?
That also depends. I mean, the more you
It's also the work specific study.
yes,
It can't
the
be
more
just
the more you can collect data, the better, of course, statistically speaking. But sometimes it's not possible to get that much data. So statistics is the answer to everything. You can use statistics for yourself, for your project. So you have to be very. So another thing with wildlife biology is you have to be very good with statistics. You have to know statistics.
Shamriti Roy Chaudhary is asking, which is the better chance, India or abroad?
Well,
Wildlife fire studies.
in India there are many more options nowadays than when I was studying. So we didn't have many options in wildlife biology studies in India when I was doing masters. In Of course, in USA, there are many more chances, I would say. Yeah.
Ankit Patra is asking for the if taking tuitions for TOEFL GRE is actually helpful or self study sufficient.
Depends how you are, how what works for you.
Uh, and Rajkumar Shah is asking, ma'am, not only the wildlife conservation but also our human society is progressing. What we should do in balancing way,
Work-life
and
balance,
it's
which is very
a
difficult.
social issue too.
Yeah, and work-life balance, of course, it's very difficult, but to succeed, you have to do that. That you have to learn. That I cannot teach you. That you have to learn with your experience. That nobody can teach you.
Yes, please. And I think this last question. Uh, except research-oriented fields, wildlife has any other opportunities?
What was that? Sorry, I didn't get it.
Except research-oriented fields, wildlife has any other opportunities?
Yeah, of course. There are academics. You can go in academics like teaching. You can go join NGOs for conservation work, on the field conservation work as well. So yeah, research is not the only opportunity for wildlife biology. You can go in government to, like, you can take IFS exams, prepare for that, and you can go in actually policy and management.
I think no more questions are there.
Anybody want to ask
Anybody want
directly
to
to
ask?
madam?
You can ask directly question to madam. If anybody has any query, you can unmute yourself and ask. Sneha Shishdatta is asking, can I apply for assistant researcher or academic after graduation in employed by GRE?
Yes, yes, of course.
I think it's a huge, elaborative, and very, very informative webinar for the all students and all the participants can get a clear view from this.
I hope so. It was helpful for everyone.
Yes. Thank you, Indrani. Thank you very much for taking the pain answering the question. There are a lot of questions there,
Lots of questions.
uh, but
No, it
it's
was it's fun to answer question rather than to like talk by yourself only.
okay. We are at final stage of the webinar. Now, I would like to request our respected HOD sir, Dr. Sanjeev Ghoshal sir, to deliver the vote of thanks. Please,
I think you are
please
muted.
unmute. Please unmute, sir. Unmute yourself.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
it's okay
Thank
now.
you, madam, for this type of interactive session. It's a very delightful and informative webinar for the particularly for the students. I have a question.
Sure.
That is, animals, cats are also used for the identification of uh, tiger and other wildlife. Did you collect that in your study?
I didn't do that in my study, but those are invasive methods, of course. So you collect them, and we do genetic studies to find out what species. That's more affirmative study. But with the structure and with the consistency, also you can say what animals, where the cascade is coming from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank the speaker, Dr. Indani Shashmal, for this type of informative and interactive topics regarding interactive discussions regarding this topic. The lucid and erudite discussion make us delighted throughout the session. Okay, madam, thank you. The Department of Zoology would like to thank Principal Madam
IQAC chairperson, GB members for extending their significant cooperation to make this webinar a grand success. Again, I would like to thank all the participants for their patience hearing and cooperation and wonderful interaction with the speaker. Last but not the least, I would like to thank the organizing committee, the convener of this webinar, Dr. Sudipto Mondol, Poulomi Mukherjee, and all the members of our department for their beneficial and erudite cooperation. Thanks to all. I would like to finish this session by chanting a holy Veda mantra. Sarva Bhavantu Sukhin, Sarva Santu Niramaya. Stay well, stay happy. Good night, everybody.
Okay, thank you, sir. Just one announcement. Some candidates, participants are posting that they are facing a problem regarding feedback form. If you face some such problem, you can WhatsApp me, and I will send you the feedback form, and then you can give your valuable feedback. Okay, sir. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you. Thank you for hosting me, giving me this opportunity.
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for
Okay.
your high patience.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye. Yeah, bye.
ফেসবুকে হচ্ছে না, ও ফেসবুক আর হোয়াটসঅ্যাপ কনসেপ্টটা একই। ইউটিউবটা বন্ধ করে দিলাম। স্টপ করা যাচ্ছে না।